Hi Space Watchers. So we're here on the last day of Space Symposium, and if I may say so, I think we've saved the best interview for last. I have the pleasure of being joined by Josef Aschbacher, who is the Director General of ESA, European Space Agency. Thank you for joining us.
Very welcome, Laura. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. So how's the symposium been for you then?
I mean, as you can imagine, very busy. We had a lot of meetings, bilateral meetings, which we have, of course, pre-arranged before coming here. But I have to say it is so productive because you really meet key people. Almost everyone is here. And instead of me traveling to 20 countries within a couple of weeks, I meet them all here in 5 days or in 3 days. And this is really great. So it's a unique opportunity. It's a very selected group of people here, decision makers, industry, government officials, also security people from the military and defense communities, and journalists. And it's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much for that. One of the things that I personally said as a theme at the start of this week was space is bigger than borders. And what I felt in terms of the atmosphere and the ambiance has been a real sense of collaboration and how can we build things together. I'm just curious, how have you found the atmosphere here?
Yeah, no, the atmosphere is really good. I mean, the theme really is a partnership, that we should create partnerships for security in the world, and I think it already says what we are doing. And especially at the European Space Agency, partnership is exactly what we are made of. We are 23 countries within ESA, so 23 member states, but also we have a number of associated member states. We have Canada as a cooperating state, and we have a lot of agreements with partners worldwide, about 320. Of course, in the United States, with NASA, we have a large cooperation agreement, but also with our friends and partners in Japan, in India, in the UAE, in South Korea, and many other countries, also in Africa, in Latin America, and many countries around the world. And this is really the beauty of it. And it's always nice to come to an event. I'd like to recall one meeting we had at the very beginning with the young generation. It's called the Space Generation Forum, and they are young people after university or very fresh in their job, and but really coming from all countries in the world. And it is so refreshing to meet this young energy and this enthusiasm, and people from the Philippines, from Argentina, from Africa, and they all want to. They all want to have big dreams in space, big projects, big companies to work for, or big agencies like ESA, and to talk to them and inspire them. This is also part of what I would like to do, to inspire them and bring them to space and allow them to dream and hopefully help them along the way also to develop a career. And I think this is also one of the beauties that I see here.
Yeah. If I just may say for Space Watchers at home, I can really feel the enjoyment and pleasure that you've had from that. So that is really nice to see. You did a excellent presentation this week, just before the NATO panel, I think it was, on what's the ESA strategy for up to 2040, which is a bit of a change in approach in the sense of, everyone's used to doing the 3-year ministerial. You highlighted, so we'll go into detail of what are the main points of the strategy in a minute, but you highlighted from the major achievements over the last year or so, and in the sense of Earth observation, data that's disseminated. I think it's 350 terabytes per day, every day, which is a fair amount of data. And I actually use some of it myself, so much appreciated. What would you say is the thing that you're most proud of in the last year?
Oh, last year we had a really good year. We had 13 launches of big satellites like EarthCare or Hera or some of the major also Copernicus satellites, Galileo satellites. It was really a successful year. But of course the best thing is that all these satellites have not only been launched but also are working very successfully, so they all are performing extremely well. But the highlight really of last year was the launch of Ariane 6, the inaugural flight. And I really have to say one should not underestimate the fact that this was successful. There is about a 1-to-1 chance it may go right or may also not go right. And sometimes people think you launch a rocket and flies. Yes, that would be nice to see, but especially the first launch is always a very difficult one, a very delicate one. A launcher is rocket science, it's complex, and the chances, as I said, to not succeed were about 1 to 1. Having succeeded, of course, a big weight is falling off my shoulders. The rocket weighs about 900 something tons, so literally 900 tons fell off my shoulders when everything was good, because it is such an important event, because it's not only proving the technology, it is the guarantee that the rocket works, but also that we now have guaranteed access to space again. And this is obviously what we need in Europe. We need independent, guaranteed access to space. This is the very basis in order to launch all these satellites, use all the data from the satellites, and yes, this was certainly the highlight of last year.
I'm very glad that weight has come off your shoulders, because that's not an easy weight to carry around. So, with regards to the 2040 strategy, you've split it into 5 different pillars. And I mean, if we go through them one by one, like starting with protect our planet and climate, I mean, you gave some examples with zero debris in orbit servicing, some other things. But for each of these goals, could you give something like concrete or tangible that you would expect to see in the short term? And then what would be the long-term vision for each of those goals?
Let's start with the probably more obvious one, which is protect our planet and climate. Of course, this builds on the heritage of the Copernicus program, which we are still building up with the largest constellation of Earth observation satellites in the world. As you say, 350 terabytes of data every single day distributed to the world for free, of any place in the world and to any country in the world. And I think this is really a service of Europe, which we are giving there, a contribution to Europe. Let me just say, because quite often you hear that cooperation has to be international. Sometimes we hear it should be more transactional. And in this case, we really deliver for free to all the countries in the world. For example, in the United States, they are using almost 50% of all our data, actually the same or similar amounts than almost in Europe. And this shows how essential this data source has become already today, not only for climate, really for the economy, for agriculture, for commodity traders, for health people to monitor the health environment of a city, for medicine, for forest people, for disaster management people, in case of forest fires, in case of floods, in case of storms, hurricanes, and so on. So you really see that this is a data source that has multiplied in terms of economic return. We have made estimates that €1 invested in the build-up of Copernicus brings about 5 to 10 euro back into the economy in terms of new services that are being created and new value that has been created. Not only new companies, but really new information that helps in many parts. The other part of protecting our climate is planetary defense. We have launched Hera last year, now on its way to the asteroid, and this is again quite exciting. I mean, we want to understand first of all how the impact of the DART mission was on the asteroid, and what is, did it created a crater, we know, but did it also crack the asteroid and therefore create a major damage to it, and what is the composition, and how does it, it's actually a pair of asteroids, and how they also interact among each other. Why do we do that? Of course, when we encounter the asteroid, it's 200 million kilometers away, but we want to study in a far distance of how an asteroid functions, how it works, and of course when one comes closer to us, to know what to do in order to protect our very planet. And there is an asteroid coming to us. Actually, it is Friday the 13th, and this is not a joke, in 2029, called Apophis. And this asteroid will be coming so close to our Earth within the 36,000 kilometer arc of the geostationary satellites. You can see it with your naked eye. This will be a major event also from a communications point of view. But of course, we're interested from a space point of view of how it behaves. We do know it's not hitting the Earth, thank God. But we do want to study it and really see how it is, what it does so close to our planet Earth. And of course, there could also be another asteroid come in the future that would actually go towards Earth, and then we need to know how they are composed, what to do in order to make sure that we could actually avoid damage. And this is also part of protecting our planet. This asteroid mission, the next one called Ramses, we do together with our partners in Japan, with the Japanese Space Agency. Of course, we are leading this project, but it's very exciting. And when 29 comes, Friday the 13th, everyone will be looking to the sky and see what happens up there. But I can assure you, there's one of our satellites there to protect us.
And so hopefully you won't have that weight on your shoulders again in 2029. And the next one, so explore and discover. What would you like to
explore and
highlight in
discover. There are two dimensions to it. If you think of the universe, every citizen is asking him or herself, what are we on this planet? How big are we? How small are we? What is the future happening? Are we disappearing? How the Big Bang was originally creating the whole universe? How fast is it expanding? And these are questions that are very fundamental, and everybody is looking to the sky and trying to understand our position in this wide universe. So there we have missions where we really discover these secrets of the universe. For example, there is one mission called Euclid, which we have launched a bit more than a year ago, which measures dark energy and dark matter. You may not. It's difficult to imagine that everything we see, our planet of course, but also all the stars, all the galaxies, everything we see with our telescopes is only 5% of the universe. And there's 95% we do not see. And we call them dark energy and dark matter because we do not see them. And this is what we want to discover with Euclid, for example, and to really figure out how this works. Then the other part of discover, I mean, this is more, or the explore part, I should say, of discover and explore is the exploration part. That means astronauts on the space station, or in the future commercial space stations, astronauts eventually going to the moon. Then, of course, Mars exploration with rovers in the far future, obviously also with astronauts. So this is really the exploration program which we have. We are having a very good one, but we really want to increase this activity in the next 10 to 15 years. It's one of the faster growing domains which I would like to increase significantly, because this is certainly where we learn a lot, where we learn from space technologies here used on Earth, and also to having astronauts on the space station, not of course doing experiments, but also looking at our planet and seeing it from there gives a very different perspective. And the message that comes back from the astronauts is, we have one small planet, very fragile, very beautiful. We have to protect it, and there is no borders visible from up there. And we should basically put our heads together and not fight each other. And I think this is certainly a message that would be very helpful to many people here on planet Earth.
That is music to my ears. It's one of my preferred topics as human space exploration, exactly for the reasons you said, that will push technological innovation that we can use on the Earth. So I totally support on that. And then strengthen European autonomy and resilience. So again, we've talked about the collaboration and the partnership element. So what exactly is it you want to focus on for strengthening European autonomy?
Yeah, this is a goal which is actually a bit new. We're doing something already in this domain, but this is certainly something that also has to be seen in the context of the geopolitical situation of today. Europe is at the moment investing a lot in strengthening its capability in defense, becoming stronger. And becoming stronger, of course, in the defense part means to defend itself. That means our continent, but defense and space are tightly linked, and therefore space certainly has a very strong component to play, and is part obviously also of building up a defense capability, but also for more resilience. Similar capabilities are useful also for disasters, for crisis management, for emergencies, for resilience constellations that we are planning to build up. So this is certainly something that we are doing already, but there in the future, and if you look at the strategy with a time horizon of 2040, I'm pretty sure this is one of the domains that will increase quite a lot. But also in general, and you mentioned partnership, yes, we have to build up our autonomy, our strength to be a strong partner, to be a good partner, because only a good partner is a partner that people would like to work with, and this is what I would like Europe to be, that ESA is building technologies, satellites, rockets, where others can also benefit from, and therefore we can share, we can cooperate, and therefore we can also increase our partnership with others, because you need good assets, you need good technologies in order to be really a valuable partner. So yes, that's exactly under this goal number 3, which is autonomy and resilience, which we would like to strengthen.
I think that's a really nice way of putting it, and also leading by example, such as on the Earth's observation and the data that's shared already.
Exactly, yeah.
So then we've got boost European growth and competitiveness. So this is an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, very interesting. This has to do with the commercialization of space. More and more private companies, but also private funds are flowing into space, and that's great. And that's exactly what I would like to develop for ESA, but also for Europe in general, so that our companies have an environment, an ecosystem that is very positive in terms of funding opportunities and technology developments. So this is really something where we have started actually in the last 2 years, 2.5 years. We have built up an ESA investors network. We have signed agreements today with about 67 venture capital companies or funding entities to bring private money into space. So it's not only ESA money, public money, but private money that is used to build up projects. And this is something I really would like to increase. It's a bit of a newer activity, but certainly something that has to pick up very fast. And Europe is good, is excellent in terms of capability, but we do need access to funding, both from public sides, but also from the private side. Last year, for example, through this ESA Investors Network, we got an investment of about 1 billion euros into smaller, medium-sized companies, and this is good, but we need more and more in order to really make sure that these companies can flourish and develop in Europe.
I think, and I might be a little bit provocative here, but I think when I look at how companies treat ESA as a open fund, open checkbook, so having that private money coming in is going to, I think, accelerate and put a bit more urgency on delivering value in business.
No, absolutely. It's the urgency, but also responsibility of the companies, so that it's not always us funding forever. It is really us funding to help them getting off the ground, and then they have to develop a business model and also acquire funding on the market. And I see this happening now. It's really, I would say, working pretty well, but of course we are in an early stage, and I see this as something, again, if you look at the 2040 timeframe, something where I expect a lot of increases of funding from the private sector to accompany our activities and therefore make them grow and develop businesses and make money. This is what we want companies to do.
Absolutely, so they can continue to exist. The last one in particular, so inspire people, which for me is incredibly important. And you talked about, like, with the space generation, young people that are more motivated. But let's be honest, most of the young people on this planet do not look at space and go, oh my God, this is fabulous. They're the TikTok generation, they're the Instagram generation. So what is it that you're looking to do with this one and to change that kind of mindset?
Yeah, this has many facets. I mean, space is fascinating, and yes, if people are on the mobile phone looking at TikTok or other things, that's fine. But maybe they should look on their mobile phone on something that is produced by space, or maybe they should even be guided to a launch site and see a rocket launching and see an astronaut launch into space. I think this is really fascinating. But a bit more generically, space is fascinating for many people. Look at the stars, try to understand what is up there, try to understand how the universe is functioning. I mean, all this is so fundamental and is so fascinating for small kids, but also big kids like me and many others. I think this is something that really is specific for space, or space has a capability of really attracting so much fascination. But it's more than that. Of course, we want to fascinate people. That creates excitement, that creates energy, that creates a spirit of opening a company, running a business. All this is part of the fascination. But it's also uniting people. And if you have big space projects, people love it, and therefore people unite. And here, of course, I speak for the European Space Agency, that Europe is united around space projects. And this is what Europe needs again. There's too much sometimes frustration, and people have their heads down and they are not in a good mood and not having energy and dreams. I think we need to create these dreams, and space is the best vehicle of doing that. Not only because we launch rockets and we discover wonderful things, but space really has this capability of creating the imagination, the fascination for the impossible that we can solve with space technologies, and therefore really have some big projects that are so fascinating that people say, look, this is so cool, I want to be part of it, I'm so proud of being a European, I'm so proud of being part of this set of countries which are developing these activities. And yes, this is inspiration, yes, this is what I also want to do. And this is what I actually like most of. I mean, I like all the projects, don't misunderstand, but inspiring people, also talking to young kids in the school class, having their big eyes, wide open and looking at whatever fascination they see up there is so beautiful. And that gives me energy as much as it gives energy to them. And I think this is really beautiful.
If I may share a little story with you, just because I hope you'll enjoy it. My niece Lily and my nephew Mason, when they've seen me talking about space, because unfortunately I'm on YouTube, they've actually gone into their class and shared the YouTube video. And my nephew wants to now do a space TikTok thing, so I was like, we'll do that after.
That's exactly the way it should work. Yeah?
So I'm very proud of that, so well done Lily and Mason. So then, when we were talking about, I mean, you're obviously proud of Ariane 6. Finally have, because there were many challenges, getting a successful launch. I always talk about with people, rather than talk about missions or products, projects, which I found is a little bit old-fashioned and last century. It's more about what's a user scenario. So when I say to people about the lunar ecosystem, it's like we're having this conversation, but we happen to be doing it on the moon. What are all the different competencies and technologies and capabilities that would be needed for that to happen? So where do you see Europe and ESA contributing to that lunar ecosystem as a whole?
Yeah. No, the lunar ecosystem, of course, it's a bit far away. I mean, we have yet to establish it, but I can tell you there's a lot of project ideas that we know will happen sooner or later. So what will happen on the moon, and now put yourself to the year 2040, so it's really into the future. In 2040, you will see European astronauts working on the moon, exploring the moon ecosystem, the moon surface. They will be accompanied by rovers, maybe humanoids. They will explore sites. Maybe they discover some rare earths, which they can be using on the moon to produce fuel, in order to also produce electricity, in order to have a launch base. There will be economic activity. We are providing a telecom network, a navigation network with satellites on the moon. There will be people or countries making business, and I would sell my telecommunication service to another country or company, and they would give me something else in exchange. And I think this is something where we really see the establishment of a moon economy coming up. And there will be many aspects. Many of them we do not know yet, because this is exploration. You go somewhere. Of course, we know where the moon is, but we don't exactly know how it functions, and especially how it looks underground, because there we have done nothing. We have not digged into the moon surface, or at least not beyond the very first few centimeters. So that is certainly exploration that we need to build up. And yes, I see a lot of these activities going on. We have now mining companies, for example, who are very interested in launching a caterpillar and digging into the moon surface and see what is there. Of course, first we need to do the exploration part to know where to go and what is the most hopeful areas. But yes, this will certainly be the extension of our activities. There's another aspect of the moon which is quite interesting. As you know, the moon has a dark side, and it's always on the dark side. Just imagine you put a telescope there, and first you have a stable ground, and you can look into the universe. You don't have the atmosphere, and you're shielded from the sun, and you can do exploration there, or would say the exploration of the universe from the moon surface, but on the dark side. Again, this is something where you have quite a lot of possibilities to come. So yes, there is a lot of opportunities which we know are going to be developed, and we shall be part of it, because we want to drive this moon economy also from Europe, and not only seeing it happening driven by the US or China or maybe some other country.
I think that leads nicely into my next question, because I see the talent and the resource that's available in Europe. And, you often hear people say, oh, we haven't got as much funding as the US or whatever else. I personally don't think that that's the problem. And so now we come, because everyone talks about new space. The fact is, though, there's a lot of bureaucracy and there's a lot of constraints with, again, what I consider to be old-fashioned project management. So how do you see us moving to that more agile, lean agile approach that allows scalability, that allows iteration and true innovation, when we've got constraints such as, for example, geo-return, and people maybe not having all the same objective and alignment?
No, what you say is absolutely important. I mean, we are let me start a bit outside, I would say, Europe, what happens in the world. In the world, space is developing extremely fast everywhere. I mean, here we are in the United States. We just look around here, this exhibition hall. You see incredible technology, but also you see things that have not existed a year ago. I mean, I was just walking through the stands here, and I'm quite amazed of seeing technology developments and plans and dreams being put into these exhibition stands and what is happening. So it's happening very fast, and it's something which is good, but it's also showing that space is entering so many domains. It's not only for the sake of space, but really for the sake of daily life. So now come back to Europe, and what does it mean in terms of our procedures and our way of working? Yes, and this is exactly the argument I'm using with my own workforce and with my member states and my colleagues, that it is happening so fast, and I would almost say so aggressive, so we have no choice but to also be fast, dynamic and agile. So I've launched a transformation program of ESA already 2 years ago. We are now, first of all, we do it inside, within our own agency. We are getting faster in terms of contracts, time to contract. I have set a goal to reduce it by 50%. That means we are double as fast as in the past. We will reach it. We are now at about 40%. We will reach the 50% by the end of this year. We will be much lighter in terms of procedures and interacting with industry. We will more often be a customer and not developing everything from scratch ourselves, but be a customer, let industry develop, give them authority and responsibility, and we buy a service. So all this is happening right now, and this is for me very important. So I've really put ESA a bit upside down, if I may call it this way, and really make sure that we are agile and fit for the future. So yes, absolutely, G-return is one element of it. We are tackling it very heavily. There are big changes that have already been made and coming now very soon. And this is, we need simplification, we need speed. Of course, we need funding, this is clear, but speed and agility is just as important.
I could talk to you for hours, I think. That really has been so positive and I think inspiring, and so there's more changes are going to be coming. People are going to see it. So I shall look forward to seeing those things, especially coming up to the ministerial, and we'll have another opportunity to talk, I'm sure. So just to finish off then, and to let you go and enjoy this last day of the symposium, what have you taken away and what are you most looking forward to now based on what you've seen and what you know is coming?
Now, coming here is very energizing, so you really see the wide world and you see what happens in the United States, but also many other countries, what you see here. What I really also take home is that I see a lot of European companies represented here. I see a lot of stands of European companies, and I know, but I see it here very visibly, that Europe is actually excellent. Europe is so good in terms of companies, expertise, engineers, scientists, and this is nice to see as a head of the European Space Agency. What I would like to also to convey as a message is, believe in yourself, sometimes brag a little bit. I think this is also part of showing what you can and how good you are. And this is something that I help doing because it's also my job to display the strength of European industry and European space ecosystem. But yes, Europe is good. Europe is excellent. We can do incredible things. We have shown it with many space projects, and we have to just keep pushing. We have to keep increasing. We need a bit more funding. Yes, the ministerial at the end of this year is critical, is very essential. But yes, we need to be agile, fast, courageous, and just do it. And this is so much fun to do.
Makes me very happy to hear all that. I hope you Space Watchers at home enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed the conversation. Joseph, thank you so much. Space Watch out.
Thank you.